Okay, we're recording. All right, so as you guys all know, I did a poll in the group earlier this week. No, what's today? Thursday? Last week? I don't even know. I don't even know what day it is. But I did a poll in the group and kind of asked you guys where you were at in your business. You know, what's going on? Are you feeling super motivated? Are you kind of having doubts or whatever? And for those of you that are super motivated, I'm not necessarily going to be talking to you so much tonight, because keep doing what you're doing. Because if you're super motivated and it's working for you, keep doing what you're doing. But I'm talking to those of you that are maybe having some of the other troubles, or if you are somebody that's super motivated, we all have dips and stuff in our business. It happens, you know. So hopefully some of these tips and stuff that I give you tonight will be useful to you at some point in your business. So the options that I gave you guys in the poll are things that I have personally been through in my business. So I think sometimes when we get into those like dips or those ruts or whatever, sometimes we feel like we're like alone, or you know, it's just us, or maybe I'm not meant to do this business because I'm feeling this way. And the thing is that every single coach that I know of, and I can speak for myself, even the most successful ones have all had the hard times in their business. They've all probably experienced these things that we talked about at some point or the other. I think the key is the ones that find success, or the ones that continue to find success, are the ones that continue to get unstuck. They're the ones that continue to put the effort in to get past those things. So all the options that I shared were things that I've personally been through. And what I want to do tonight is I really just want to take the time to share what I have personally done in my business and my life to get myself through those moments and get myself out of those ruts, okay? So the first option that most of you chose, that most people chose, was that you're not really sure where to start. Let me move my notes some, because otherwise I'm going to be looking too far away. So you're not really sure where to start. And this is like a really common feeling that coaches have. And it's a feeling that I've had in my business before. So if you're not really sure where to start, the first thing I can tell you is that you need to start with you. Like, that needs to be the very first thing that you start with, okay? Before you try to jump into the business and you try to help other people, you need to make the commitment to start with yourself. Now, I'm not saying that you need to finish your journey or be all the way through your journey before you can help other people or anything like that. It's actually the opposite. But you need to make the commitment to work on yourself and start with yourself, okay? And what do I mean by start with you? You need to pick a workout program and you need to actually do it, guys. Like, this is key. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to do 8 a.m. session and then, you know, do a week of it and then not do a week of it. And then, you know, decide that you're going to do something else and then not do that. And then while you're doing the workouts, you're not really following a meal plan. And yes, as you go further in your business, there's going to be times where maybe you're like, okay, I don't want to like follow a plan to a T right now. I kind of want to just dabble in Beachbody On Demand and kind of, you know, just eat healthy. And that's okay, you know, once you get to that point. But if you're feeling like you don't know where to start, you need to pick a program and you need to follow it. You need to share about what you're starting. Okay, perfect example is the post I did today where I talked about the fact that I'm starting Lift 4. And I said on Monday, I'm starting a program that is 3 days a week. The workouts are 3 days a week, 30 to 40 minutes. I gave a few details. I didn't say I'm starting Lift 4. And we've talked about this before, but you don't want to do that, because when you do that, if you say, hey, I'm starting this program, Lift 4, people are going to go to Google. They're going to be like, Lift 4, what is that all about? And they're going to be like, oh, it's weightlifting mixed with high intensity cardio. No, thank you. I don't want to become a bodybuilder, and I'm not trying to kill myself. So you have to remember that when people go and they research things, they're doing it through their own opinion and through their own ignorance. And I don't mean that in like a condescending way. People that don't know about our programs, or they don't know about health and fitness, or maybe they've never done weightlifting, they are ignorant to what that actually means. So they might hear weightlifting and think, I'm not trying to like be a bodybuilder. Okay. That's like a common thought that people that are ignorant to what weightlifting actually is, that's a common thought that they have. So you want to be careful putting too much out there where people are going to go try to do their own research and form an ignorant opinion. Okay. So put out there what you're doing, share what you're doing, but let them come to you so you can tell them what you're doing and you can inform them of the right things. And if you're ever like, I don't know what weightlifting means. I mean, I think most of you at this point understand what it means. But if you ever feel like you're misinformed, come to a team page, come to something and ask, and somebody that knows the answer can help you, okay? I'm not telling you guys to go out there and be experts and try to talk about something that you don't know about. Of course, you don't want to do that. But there's always somewhere where you can find the information. Go to the FAQ. You can find whatever you need to find in there, okay? So let them know what you're doing. Share with them that you're starting something. And then share about it as you go. This is another thing. So many people, they start a program, they talk about how they're going to start it, and then they don't talk about it while they're doing it. So your audience is like, oh, cool. You know, you said you were going to start this, but I don't see anything about it. So is she doing it? Is she not doing it? You know, they don't know what you're doing. They don't know that you're doing something that they can do. Okay. So share about it as you go, and then share your results. And guys, this doesn't just mean sharing your final results. This means sharing your results throughout the whole process. And I'm not just talking about before and after pictures either. Although normally through a process, you're going to have, weekly results most of the time. So you can share before and after pictures weekly. That's what I did with 80 Day Obsession. But it doesn't have to be all before and after pictures, okay? It can be like, I'm feeling better mentally. My eating, like I'm learning how to eat healthy, whatever it is, share your results as you go. Okay. And one thing that I wrote down is that, when it comes to picking a workout program and getting started, it's important that you guys do this because we are health and fitness coaches. Like we have to remember that, yes, we're sharing our story and we're sharing about our lives, but we're health and fitness coaches and we represent health and fitness. So you guys need to be setting the example for this. And sometimes coaches view that in like a negative light, like, I have to be like a health and fitness person all the time. And that's not the case. The way I look at it is what we do, guys, it's like a win-win, okay? Because every single person in this world, especially at our ages, okay, we're all getting older. It's happening, most of us are not in our early 20s anymore. We should all be exercising and eating healthy. This is something, even people in their early 20s, this is something that everybody needs to be doing to live a healthy life. So I feel like it's a win-win for us because we get to do what we should be doing anyways, and then we get to share about it and help people do it. It's our job and we make money and get rewarded for it. So change your mindset with that. It's not like you have to be freaking ripped with abs 24/7 or, that doesn't even have to be your goal. You don't even have to be somebody that wants to do some high intensity workout program. You can be somebody that does yoga. We have a workout program for everybody. You can be somebody that is more into the eating part of it and you just do, light exercise here and there. It's whatever works for you. There's something that will work for you that will work for your audience. So figure out what it is that you want to do and then share that. Okay. Let's see. The next thing, figure out your mental struggles and work on them. And I put work on them consistently. I can't read my own handwriting. And this goes back to personal development, guys. We all know this, but we all have stuff that we struggle with, okay? We've all got things in our life that we struggle with. And they can get in the way. It will get in the way. It'll get in the way of your business. It will get in the way of your life if you don't work on it and you're not proactive about it. Guys, there are things that are going on in my life right now. There are things that go on in my life on a regular basis that I can't talk about publicly. Like, I have a big family and we come from a really rough past, a really rough childhood. I have family members that are currently suicidal. I have a lot going on with my in-laws that I can't really speak about publicly. There's a lot that goes on in my life behind the scenes that will just wear on me and freaking eat me up sometimes if I don't keep control of it and constantly work on my mindset and constantly work on, like being more positive and, interacting with these people in a more positive, healthy way. And I'm talking about like family members. I'm talking about people that sometimes it's not as easy as being like, oh, you're toxic, so I'm going to remove you from my life. Like, yes, I have done that with a lot of people, but sometimes we run into these things in our lives that we can't just turn our back to them and make them go away. It's hard and we have to work through them. And whatever that is for you guys, you need to figure out what it is, figure out what's going on. Maybe it's something that you struggle with personally that has nothing to do with somebody in your life. Maybe it's a mental struggle that you constantly struggle with. Recognize it and, realize that it is a struggle and it's something you need to work with, and then work on it consistently. Do personal development. If you need to go see a therapist, go to a therapist. There's no shame in that. Do whatever you got to do to work on those things so they don't take over the other parts of your life as you're trying to grow. The next thing I have is think about what you really want and think about what your dreams and goals are. And don't be like a Debbie Downer about this. That's like not a good way to put it, but be like, find your dreams again, guys. Like, dream big and have goals, and don't freaking believe like the doubt that's out there everywhere now that, people can't have a good life or whatever it is. There are so many things that I've accomplished in this business that if I wouldn't have been like dreaming a little bit bigger and a little bit out there, it wouldn't have happened. I had people in my life that were like, come down from that cloud, Steph. You need to go to college. Like, you need to finish your college degree. You're quitting college to do what? Like, you're going to have doubt, and you're going to have people that don't believe in you, and you're going to have people that think that your head is in the clouds. And sometimes you're going to feel like your head is in the clouds, and you're going to be like, that's probably not going to happen. But you need to allow yourself that time to have those dreams and have those goals, because that's what's going to like inspire you. Okay. And if you take that away from yourself and you don't allow yourself to have that, you're just going to like, just kind of cruise where you are, and you're not going to have those dreams and those beliefs and all that stuff. And then you need to think about, what are you willing to sacrifice in order to have that life, in order to have those dreams? Okay. You're going to have to sacrifice things, guys, if you want something different, if you want something better. So decide right now, what are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to give up some TV time? Are you willing to hire somebody to work on your house? Like, we all have different things we're willing to sacrifice. For me, I'm fine with giving up TV time. I'm fine with, not like hanging out with my friends once a week or, all the time. I'm fine with those kind of things. I can sacrifice that to make my future what I want it to be. Then there's some things that I'm not willing to sacrifice. I'm not willing to hire a nanny to help with my kids. Right now at this point, I'm not necessarily willing, not that I'm not willing, but I'm not hiring somebody to clean my house, although that is on the goal and I need to figure that out. I'm not willing to hire an assistant to go into my messages and talk to my potentials. Like, I'm not willing to go there. I want to be with my kids. I want to be raising my kids. I want to be home with them. That was my whole goal. I want to be the person talking to my potentials, and I want it to really be me behind the screen. And that's just me. Those are my goals, and those are things I'm not willing to sacrifice. So you got to get real with yourself, and you got to decide, what am I willing to sacrifice and what am I not willing to sacrifice? And just go ahead and figure those things out right away, so you can move forward with your business knowing what's on the table with that. And then you need to decide, what is your schedule like? What does your schedule look like? What does your day look like? Do you work a full-time job? Do you stay home with your kids? Because that, we all know, can be very time consuming. You need to figure out, what does your schedule look like and where can you make time for your business? And we can all make time somewhere, guys, but you just got to figure it out. And maybe in the beginning, that means that you can only make time, a couple hours a day for your business, or an hour a day, or you work 15 minutes at a time. When I first started coaching, guys, I didn't work my business all the time. Like, I didn't have a whole lot of time. My kids were babies. They were young when I first started coaching. Tyler had crazy hours at work, worked far away from the house. I was doing hair full time around his schedule. And I had a lot going on. So literally it was like, let me work the business whenever I can make time. And I worked in blocks of time. And I grew slower that way. Obviously the more time you invest in your business, the faster you're going to grow. The less time you invest, the slower you're going to grow. But it's okay. Like, I have no regrets about it. I am totally happy with the way my business grew, and it worked for me. It worked for me in my life and my schedule. So figure out, where can you make time? How fast do you want your business to grow? What are you willing to sacrifice? What can you change? Figure all those things out. And then the last thing I wrote down is print out the weekly business tracker. I just posted one today for the sake of this call. Print out a weekly business tracker, or, figure out a system that works for you, something that's going to hold you accountable to yourself and your business. Have that and actually use it. Like, that's the key. Don't just print it out and be like, oh, this is pretty, this looks cool, and then never touch it. Actually use it, because looking at those things every day, like checking them off. Okay, did I have conversations with people today? Did I check in with my challengers today? Did I get on a team call this week? Or did I host a team call this week? Having those reminders every day, every week, it's going to hold you accountable to your business. It's also going to show you what you need to be doing. It's in your face for you. So if you're like, oh, where do I start? What do I do? Here you go. Right here, you have a tracker. This is what you need to be doing every week. And you can find one that you like. If you don't like that one, I'm sure you can Google, go to Pinterest. There's probably tons of them out there. So find something that works for you, that kind of speaks to you, and use it. All right. So the next one was, I was trying to see. So the next most popular one that the most people chose after that one was lack of motivation or ideas. So I feel like if you're lacking motivation or ideas, there's definitely a few things that you can do and that you need to do. So first of all, you need to make sure that you're doing the things that we just talked about. So if you're lacking motivation, you need to make sure that you have a workout program picked out. You need to make sure that you're, doing the personal development and working on your own struggles. You need to make sure that you are allowing yourself to dream and have those goals and make a vision board, do things like that. So it's in your head, like actually doing those things, guys, it really does make a difference. So make sure that you're doing all that stuff that we already talked about first and foremost. The next thing is maybe you're bored. Okay. This is a big one for me. If you guys really know me, you know that I love change, and this has been a problem in my life because I like to move. I get bored with things really easily, and it's something that I've had to work on over the years, especially since I had kids. I'm like, Steph, you can't move and buy a new house every 2 years. You can't trade in your car every year because you're bored with it. I just get bored sometimes, and I've had those moments in my business where I'm like, it's not really doing anything for me. And when I start feeling that, that's when I know, okay, like you're bored. You're not like getting inspired. You're not, getting all that like flowing and stuff that you need to keep you interested and keep you passionate. So maybe you need to switch things up. Maybe you need to start a new workout program. If you're somebody that's been doing the same workout program for the last 6 months or year, and you're like, it's just kind of feeling like routine now, and you're not really feeling excited about your workouts, or you're not really feeling excited about your results, maybe you need to switch it up. Or maybe you started a workout program that you never really felt that excited about, and you never really were doing the right one for you. So find a workout program that is going to get you excited again. Find something that, you're going to be excited to share results about. And then that's another thing. When you start a new workout program, think about the fact that, I get to share these results. Like, so people are going to be watching me, and this, like, that's exciting in itself, knowing that you have that extra accountability, because people are going to be looking for those results. And, anytime you're like, oh, I kind of want beer and pizza, you can be like, but I'm going to share those results and get people excited. So find a new workout program, find one that you're excited about, and do it. Maybe you need to revamp your challenge groups. If you're a coach that's been doing this for a little while and you've been doing challenge groups for a while, sometimes it can feel a little bit routine and redundant, and you might get bored. So figure out, what can I do different? How can I switch things up? How can I get excited again? Start dreaming again. I kind of talked about this before, but start, thinking about those things that you want again, and stop believing that you can't have the business that you want. Because I do feel like sometimes, as, people go through the motions when they're not really pushing hard and moving forward, they start to kind of feel like, okay, maybe like my business isn't going to go anywhere, or maybe I'm not going to be able to create the business that I really want. And then you start allowing those false beliefs to get in your mind and bring you down and like in the dumps. And then, you go back to that mindset where you're like, oh, well, maybe this business isn't for me. So stop letting yourself do that. When you have those thoughts, counteract that and be like, no, bull crap. Like, I can have the business I want. There's no reason I can't have this business. Look at so-and-so. Or, you don't even have to look at other people for a comparison. Look at yourself and just know that you're capable of freaking having whatever you want, because you really are. So allow yourself to have that belief again, and allow yourself to have those dreams again. Get your mind inspired. This is like the biggest thing, I think, when it comes to lacking motivation and lacking ideas, especially ideas. If you're like, man, I don't know what to post about, or I don't really feel like posting about anything, and you're just feeling like you lack ideas, it's because you're uninspired. You got to do something to get like the juices flowing in your mind again. So one thing that I did recently that is so stupid, but I swear it works. I mean, it worked for me, and might work for other people too. I was like, one day I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make a freaking YouTube playlist of like songs that just like get me pumped and like get me excited. And I'm talking, I went on to like the top billboards thing. It's a website. You guys can use it. This is what I did. I think it's called Billboards, but it's like the top 100 songs of each year. And I went back to like 2005 with some like Usher, club music, like whatever the songs that like at that point in time in my life, like kind of got me pumped up. I was like, you know what? I'm putting this on my playlist. So I went from like 2000 whatever to 2018, and I just made like a big playlist. And anytime I'm having one of those days where I'm like, ugh, I really don't feel like doing anything, or I don't really feel like working out, I literally turn on that playlist, and within like a couple minutes, I'm like, all right, like I'm kind of pumped up. So try music, make yourself a playlist. Sometimes like, I feel like, if we're listening to like the same songs over and over again, like we're listening to the newer songs that we like, it kind of starts to wear off. So go back to some old songs that used to motivate you and used to pump you up, and start listening to those again and switch it up. Do personal development. Obviously, we all know this. I don't really need to talk about that. Find a new book to read, or find some audio to listen to. Guys, there are so many freaking podcasts nowadays. I think I shared one with Sean. Oh my gosh, I totally just forgot his name. Whatever his name is, from Summit, the person that spoke. Is it Sean? Is it even Sean? I don't know. Now I'm losing my mind. But I've been listening to his podcast, and just listen to something different, something that inspires you. Connie Podesta, I don't know if she has a podcast, but I know she has a lot of YouTube videos and stuff. Listen to her. She's really great. There you go. Sean Aker. Thanks, Leslie. She put his name in the comments. But find anybody that you like, and go find their podcast or find something to listen to. Team calls. Get on team calls. Every time I get on a team call, guys, that's not me talking. Obviously, I don't motivate myself. But every time I get on a different team call with somebody else, I'm always like, okay, there's a little nugget that I needed to hear, or there's a reminder that I needed, or whatever it is. So surround yourself with that type of stuff. Get your mind back into those types of things. The Beachbody Champions page, there's always, every single day, there's a new video on there from a coach who's having success. They don't just take coaches who are just doing whatever. They take coaches who are finding success and having success, and they do videos. So go in there and watch those videos. I feel like every video I watch in that page, I get something from it. Live events. This one is huge, guys. There's a Super Saturday coming up this weekend. If you can get there, get to a Super Saturday. I talked about on the last call with Summit, I was kind of like, there was like stuff going on leading up to Summit behind the scenes, just a lot going on. Wasn't sure about like sitters for the kids, and it was just kind of like, and I'm like thinking, I don't really need to go to Summit. Like I have already heard all this stuff. I've got it under control. I know what I need to do in my business, blah, blah, blah. And so I came to Summit with like the mentality that like, I'm going because this is what I'm supposed to do as a leader. Like, just being honest with you guys. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to do as a leader. And by the first night with the new releases, I was excited. But by day 2, I felt like an idiot. Like, who do you think you are? Like, you're not going to get anything from, the live events or the live speakers. And by day 2, with listening to Connie Podesta talk, by the way, I butcher her last name every single time. It's Podesta. I don't know how you pronounce it. But listening to her talk, like I learned so freaking much in that one speech. So don't tell yourself that you don't need the live events, or, it's not worth, finding a way to get there, because we all know that every single time we go, we learn something new or we gain something from them. So get to the live events if you can. The next thing, recruit new people. If you're feeling unmotivated, guys, find some new people, find some new challengers, find some new coaches. New beginnings are always like super exciting. And I feel like when you bring in a new challenger, or you bring in a new coach, they have that like fire, that, very beginning fire that we've all had, but sometimes we lose it along the way. And sometimes bringing in those new people can like light that fire in you again, because you see, like, you sign on a new challenger, you sign on a new coach, and they're so excited, and they're asking you questions, and they're telling you these things that they're excited about. And you're like, man, I remember that feeling. Like, I remember when I first signed up, or, when I was thinking about signing up, and it can remind you of that fire that we all lose, or not that we all lose, but that we can all lose sometimes. And we can do this with anything in life, guys. Like, anything in life, when you have been doing it and it's not new anymore, you lose that fire sometimes, or you start to kind of take it for granted. So sometimes just bringing in like that those new fresh people can really just kind of remind you of all of that and light that fire again. And then get rid of the things or people that bring you doubt or make you feel bad. This is a huge one, and this is something that I last year had to really, really do in my business. Last year was a very difficult year for me, health-wise, life-wise, business-wise, and there was a lot of like negativity and toxicity and things that I had to remove from my life. And I can tell you guys that when I was in like the midst of it, it did not feel easy. And I was like, holy crap, like, what do I do? Like, you know, how do I get out of this? And I just dove in and I stuck it through and I did it. And I removed people that I needed to remove, even if it wasn't easy. People that were attacking me or bringing me down, or people that just like were just toxic people to be around. I remove them from my life, and it makes a huge difference is my point. I can sit here and tell you guys that removing that stuff makes a huge difference, because we all know that this business and really anything in life is big. Like, it's a big part, your mindset. Your mindset is so important. And if you have people that are constantly like putting doubt in your mind or constantly bringing you down, it's going to be really hard to operate at like a high level. It's going to be really hard to find that motivation. Okay. So those things and those people, if you can, obviously, like I talked about earlier, I know there's some times where you can't just be like, oh, I'm removing you from my life. You know, it's not always that simple, but try your best to keep yourself surrounded by people who lift you up and people who make you feel good. And that's not just in person either, guys. I'm talking on your news feeds, or, you know, the things that you watch and you look at, whatever. Like, try to surround yourself with things that make you feel good. They make you feel excited. They make you feel pumped up. Don't surround yourself with things that make you like, ugh. Like, if you log on to Facebook and in your news feed, like you're scrolling for 2 minutes and you're just like disgusted and you don't want to be on Facebook, which I've been there, you probably need to unfollow some people or remove them from your page. And that is okay, guys. It's okay. Like, be selfish about that. Be selfish about your mindset, okay? And then, another thing I wrote when I said keep yourself surrounded with people who lift you up. Sometimes this might mean just being selfish about having alone time. You might be somebody that's like, you know what? I don't have a whole lot of people in my life right now that believe in me, or I don't have a whole lot of people that are going to support me being a coach, or I just tend to have a lot of toxic people in my life, which for me, that was the big thing. Like, I have just always had a lot of toxic people with a lot of issues in my life. My family, not all of my family, but a lot of my family, just the people in my life tend to kind of be that way. So sometimes for me, it's just a matter of me being like, listen, dude, like, I need some time. I need you guys to leave me alone. Like, let me stay in my happy place, in my house, and do my thing and get my mind right. And I can tell you that when I start feeling like really stressed out, or, you know, just feeling like blah, that's when I'm like, okay, I need some alone time. I need to, you know, find that alone time. I mean, alone time in my house with my kids and my husband. Obviously, I'm not always alone, but not surrounding myself with the stuff that brings me down and getting my mind right. And it is totally fine for you guys to do that. And I encourage you to be selfish about that when you need to be. Okay, so the next thing is that coaching doesn't bring you good feelings all the time. And sometimes it makes you feel drained. Has anybody ever felt this way about coaching? I know I have. So what I can tell you when you're having these feelings is, first of all, I know it sounds so cliche, but we need to fill our cup. So you need to fill your cup. And the thing is that you need to make that a habit. So filling your cup needs to be something that you do constantly, or you're always going to end up in that burnout mode. Because I think when you're feeling like coaching just makes me feel drained and people suck and I hate people, and people, and I've heard coaches, tell me this, they feel this way. You're burnout. Like you've just reached that point of burnout, and it's probably because you weren't doing what you needed to do for yourself along the way. So the good news is that you can get away from that burnout. You can pull yourself out of it and hopefully keep yourself from getting back there again. So the thing about filling your cup, though, is don't feel like you need to like disappear off the face of the earth while you do this. So this is one thing that I see coaches do. They reach burnout. Okay. This is like a common pattern that I see. They don't fill their cup enough. They reach burnout. They fall off the face of the earth. They completely go MIA off of social media for an extended period of time. Then they come back, do it again, disappear again. And the problem is when you do that, you lose, how do I want to word this? I don't want to say you lose your credibility, but I think you lose your trust in people, I think is how I want to word it. Because people are like, is she going to fall off again? Like, is she going to stay this time? Or is she going to go MIA? What's going to happen? So I think the key is you have to find that balance. You have to find that in between. So don't be like, I'm burnt out and I hate everybody and I don't want to look at social media for a month. So, peace out. Instead, be like, okay, how can I kind of balance this and make the time I need to make for myself? Maybe that means that one day a week, you take a full day off. And that is totally fine, guys. Or maybe that means that, you're like, all right, during these times of the day, my phone is going away. I'm not responding to anybody. I'm not answering any messages. And I am going to be completely present with my family or with my kids or with myself, whatever it is. And I can tell you guys that I take time and do that. I have to. Like, everybody needs to. So for me, you guys will notice Mondays and Tuesdays aren't really work days for me. Like, those are Tyler's days off. Those are the days that we really hang out as a family. I'll still post on social media and I'll still respond to people like when I can or when the kids go to bed. But those aren't like huge work days for me. Then there's times during the day where I am completely disconnected from any social media. I'm disconnected from text messages, phone calls, and I don't respond to anything. And I am just one-on-one with my kids or with whatever I'm doing. And that's okay. It's okay for you to do those things to fill your cup. Just don't completely fall off the face of the earth for an extended amount of time. And I think if you start to kind of do those other things where you allow yourself one day a week or you allow yourself some time during the day, you'll start to really feel better about Beachbody, and you'll start to feel better about your business, and you won't have all those bitter feelings where you're like, oh, like I'm working 24/7 or people just suck and I'm drained. Okay. So try to find that balance. And then recognize the things in your life that are unrelated to your business that are causing you stress. So this is another big one that you guys have probably heard me talk about before. But I find a lot of times that things happen in people's lives, their lives become really stressful, money, whatever it is, whatever's going on, money, time, their jobs, like their other full-time jobs. And they're really stressed about that. And then Beachbody almost ends up like getting the brunt of that stress. So it's like, I'm stressed about money. I'm stressed about not having a lot of time. And then like we kind of take it out on our business. Like it's Beachbody's fault, because it's almost like an easy thing to blame. So try to recognize like the things that are causing you stress that aren't Beachbody's fault. Like if you're having money problems, it's not because of your Beachbody business. If you're really stressed out about your full-time job, it's not because of your Beachbody business. And you also have to recognize that Beachbody is something that can help you get through those things. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to make a ton of money overnight. You're not going to be able to quit your full-time job and supplement that income overnight. But if you recognize that it's not Beachbody that's the problem, and you stay consistent with your Beachbody business, you absolutely can make those things happen. And I can tell you that because I did it. Okay. So try to, when you find yourself like getting into that mentality where you're kind of like knocking Beachbody, or you're feeling bitter about it, or whatever it is, try to remind yourself like, hey, you know what? Like, this isn't my business. This isn't Beachbody's fault. And try to remind yourself like how grateful we should be for this opportunity, and really seriously, like how incredible of an opportunity it is. I just did a post tonight about, I worked like 10 hours today, and I wanted to, like, I did that because I wanted to. I had things I wanted to get done. I have a lot of different groups I'm putting together. And I sat home in my pajamas with no makeup on, like taking breaks when I wanted to or I needed to. And seriously, like I sat back, like I have to sit back sometimes and remind myself like, dude, you're blessed. Like, this opportunity is a blessing. Last night when I'm outside with my neighbors for 4th of July, we're all hanging out, and everybody's like at like 8:30, they're looking at the time like, oh man, got to get the kids to bed. And I'm like, wait, like it's 4th of July. What are you talking about? Like, and then I'm like, oh yeah, you guys have to work tomorrow. Like what time do you guys have to wake up? And seriously, like sometimes, and I know everybody's not there yet. Like I know that a lot of you still have full-time jobs, and you're still the person waking up in the morning. And I was there when I first started Beachbody, and I was doing hair. I woke up, I did hair all day long. Tyler went to work, and then I worked my business when I could. So I get it that you're not all there yet, but you got to remember the opportunity that is there, and that it can replace that. And eventually it can be to the point where you work it on your schedule. And then when you do get to that point where you're working the business on your schedule, you need to remember what a freaking blessing it is and be grateful for what it is. And that's something that I have to remind myself of. Okay, so next thing, be more picky about who you work with. And this is something that I did not do in the beginning. And I don't want to say it came back to bite me, but it taught me some lessons. Okay. I ended up with not too many challengers. Like I can't really complain. There weren't too many people, but I ended up with a couple challengers that were not my cup of tea. And I ended up with a couple coaches that put me through hell, if I'm being totally honest. And it was because I was just taking on whoever. And then once I took them on, I was just letting people take me through the ringer however they wanted to. If a coach was complaining about something that had nothing to do with me, but they wanted to like take it out on me, I let them, and I would get on the phone with them, and I engaged in this behavior. If I had challengers that I just knew didn't really want help, and they just liked being negative, unhappy people, I still would like pour myself into them, like wanting to change them. Like maybe if I just try harder with these people, I'll be able to change them. And you can't do that, guys. You can't do that. So a couple things that I wrote down is that you need to invest your time in people who want your help. Now, this doesn't mean that it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows and they're going to do exactly what you say all the time and always be happy and positive. Of course not. That's not what that means. But you will learn the difference between somebody who is maybe just having a hard time or maybe just has a difficult life, but they do want to change, and somebody who doesn't want to change. They just want something to complain about. And you'll start to see the difference between those people. And you need to invest your time in the people that want your help, and don't kill yourself trying to help people who don't want your help. Like I just talked about, if you come across those people that you're like, man, I have given them all the tools. I've given them all of me. Like I have done everything I can for them, and they aren't happy, or they just don't get it. Let it go. I'm not saying don't ever be there for them again, because you never know. They could come around, but don't kill yourself trying to change those people or trying to make that happen. Because then what's going to happen is you're going to become so focused on those people that the people that really do want your help aren't going to have you. Like, you're going to be too focused on these other people. And then you're going to find that you're surrounded by negativity, and you're going to get drained. You're going to get burnt out. So don't kill yourself trying to do that, and get rid of the scarcity mindset. So I know one thing that used to cause me to just kind of sign up anybody is I was like, well, I got to like take on whoever I can, you know? And when I finally changed my mindset and realized, no, I don't have to take on whoever I can. I'm going to work with people I want to work with. It's kind of funny how things became more abundant, actually, when I reversed that mindset. So when I actually started being more picky and particular about the people I worked with, I actually started finding more people that wanted to work with me. So if you can change that mindset, you're going to find that not only are you happier and do you enjoy it more, but you're probably going to find more people who actually want to work with you. And that's because you're going to find the people who really do want your help and they really relate to you. So get rid of that scarcity mindset. And then the next big one is stop trying to be a therapist. So I told you guys at the second day of Summit, the general session, Connie Podesta, she did a whole speech, and I haven't been able to find it yet, but I'm going to keep looking for it for you guys because it was freaking awesome. But she is like just awesome. She's a humorist, but she's also a psychologist, and she has one other thing. I forget what it is, but she kind of takes it all and combines it. And she's like 70 something and looks like she's like 50. Super like wise lady, just like you can tell that she knows her stuff. So she did her first speech, and then I got to hear her a second time. They had like a leadership workshop that for like star diamonds and above that I got to go to. And in this workshop, she kind of did like a little bit of like a sequel to her first speech. So her first speech, she basically talked about how we need to stop being afraid to be salespeople. And she talked about how, you know, MLM companies, like everybody walks around and they're like, we're not salespeople, we're shares people. And, you know, we have all these like quirks and sayings because we're all afraid to sell to people. And she's like, why are you afraid to sell to people? And she's like, if you stop and think about the world, every single thing revolves around sales. And I talked about this a little bit on the last call, but honestly, if you stop and think about it, like every job revolves around sales somehow, pretty much. Most jobs revolve around sales. And so she's like, you know, you have a great product. You have a solution. Like you have something that you know works and is incredible and is like the best on the market for its, you know, subject. And you're afraid to sell it to people. And she talked about how, you know, people will go buy an iPhone no problem without thinking about it because it's an Apple iPhone, but then you're afraid to sell a $170 challenge pack, you know? So she talked about stop being afraid of sales. And then in the second speech, she went more in depth about actually like selling to people and working with people. And one thing that really spoke to me is she said, how did she word it? She had us all raise I think she was just like, you know, have you ever felt like a therapist as a coach? Have you ever felt like somebody's therapist? And like the whole room raises their hand. And she's like, stop doing that. Stop trying to be people's therapist. And she's like, first of all, that's not your job. Second of all, you don't have the credentials to be a therapist. Most of us are not psychologists. We're not therapists. You're not going to give them the correct tools that they need when it comes to a therapist. So stop trying to do that. And she said, you know, you are a coach, okay? You're here to help with health and fitness. So you're here to help your challengers with their health and fitness. You're here to help your team with their health and fitness and their business. And that's it. You're not here to, you know, give them a therapy session about other things that are going on that have nothing to do with these things. And when she first said this, I'm like sitting there thinking, yeah, okay, because that's like all I do with my challengers, you know? And I think there is like a fine line where a lot of times when it comes to health and fitness, people have a hang up because of like a mental thing. But her whole point was, don't spend time wasted trying to help them with things that at the end of the day you really can't change, and you really don't have the credentials or, you know, the expertise to do that. Instead, offer them the tools that you can offer them. And I'm trying to think of it, I'm trying to remember exactly how she worded it, but basically she talked about, so you have a coach that is struggling and they're like, you know, I'm trying everything in my business and it's not working. So you get them on the phone and you say, you know, all right, so tell me what's going on. Tell me what's not working. And they start talking about, you know, well, my baby daddy did this to my kid and whatever. And you have to take that conversation, you have to redirect it back to business, and you have to say, okay, tell me what's not working in your business. And she said, you know, and they might go off on a rant and say, well, I'm trying everything. Okay, well, tell me what you're doing in your business that's not working. And she said, if you continue to redirect those things back to what you are, what you're supposed to be doing for them, they will eventually realize, okay, I'm not actually trying everything in my business. I haven't tried everything in my business. I'm actually not really focused on my business at all. I'm focused on these other things that are going on. So her whole point was, of course, like, you still have to help people, and, you know, you can't be like, oh, don't talk to me about your life, only talk to me about business. Of course, you can't do that and you don't want to do that. But don't spend so much time trying to help people with things that you're not there to help with. If somebody has something going on that's really difficult or really bad, lovingly say to them, you know, I don't really have the expertise or the tools to help you with that. You know, but I'm going to suggest that maybe you go see a therapist, or, you know what, I know this really great book that I read that helped me with this, or I have a friend that went through this and this is what she did. Try this and see if it'll work for you. And invest your time helping people do what we're here to do. Health and fitness and business, okay? And it's pretty simple. Like, we overcomplicate it sometimes, I think. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to talk about, you aren't getting a lot of responses or interaction. And this one, guys, is super simple. I'm going to keep it super simple and to the point. If you aren't getting a lot of responses or interaction, there's one of two things going on. One, you just are new, or you haven't posted enough yet, so you haven't built that trust. You haven't built that following. People are still watching you, trying to figure out, like, is she serious about this? Can I really trust this? Which is something that will happen as you go, by the way. Just realize that through your business, people will watch you and they won't say anything. And I get that reminder constantly. Like the post I did today, I had people message me that never interact on any of my posts. They never like anything I post. They never comment on anything. Nothing ever happens. And they reached out to me today about my post about Lift 4. Okay, so just realize that there are always people watching you who don't interact with you. So don't let that discourage you. So either one, they just haven't built the trust, or they're just watching you and they're just somebody that doesn't interact a lot. Or two, you aren't being consistent enough. And I think this is probably the number one thing, the most popular thing when it comes to not getting a lot of responses or a lot of interaction. You just aren't being consistent enough. You have to share about what you're doing, guys. You have to share about your journey. You have to share about yourself. And that means that you have to post pictures of yourself. Like, people, they have to be able to see you. And it has to be like all of you. So I've seen a lot of coaches who the only thing they ever post is their face. Like they never show their body. And I know sometimes coaches they're not really where they want to be. So they're still kind of insecure. And you guys got to let that go. Like you got to, and I'm not necessarily talking to any of you, but I think that coaches have to realize that it's not about perfection and nobody's looking for perfection. And so don't be afraid. If you're not where you want to be, that's okay. People need to see that. Like they need to see the real you. They need to see you being authentic. And you're going to get there. So it's okay to show that. So don't feel like you like can't show your body or you can't post about your workouts. If that's something that makes you feel insecure, you just got to start doing it. You just got to push out of that comfort zone. So you need to share more pictures of yourself. They need to be full body pictures. People need to see you. Like this is how they build that trust and they get to know you. And something that Connie also talked about that I think we all know is that people are going to buy from you because of you. So one thing that she asked us is if somebody came up to you right now and said, why should I sign up with you? We should all instantly be able to give them like 3 reasons why they should choose us versus somebody else. And that's something that so many coaches struggle with. They don't know why somebody should sign up with them. And for me, I can tell you it's because I really care. I put a lot of effort into my people. You are always working with me. It's really me on the other end of things. And I am very serious and passionate about health and fitness. And those are 3-4 things that I could tell you right away, right off the top of my head that I truly believe and I'm confident about in myself. So you need to find that confidence and you need to figure out why should people work with you? Why should they sign up with you? And if you're like, well, there's no reason they should sign up with me, bullcrap. That's not true. It doesn't matter where you are on your journey. There's something that you have to offer that somebody else doesn't. So figure that out. And then share about yourself and be consistent with it. And show your results, guys. Show them your results. Like I talked about before, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just show them any results. Talk about any results you're getting. Show emotion through your posts. Like let people get to know you. You know, be yourself. Quit worrying about what everybody thinks about you. Like who cares? Show who you are. Show emotion. You know, smile. If there's like a stupid face that you make all the time, you need to take a picture making that stupid face because people need to get to know the real you. Okay. So that is pretty much it. Hopefully I covered some things that kind of help you guys at least, you know, kind of go, okay, that's something I can work on a little bit. And when you find yourself in those spots, like I said, I think the key is you've got to be the person that's like, okay, I'm not going to stay stuck here because I don't want to stay stuck here, because fact of the matter is nobody else can do it for you. And there are plenty of times where I look at some of you and I might not always say it to you, but I look at some of you and I'm like, man, she's stuck right now, you know, and I wish that I could take her and like get her out of that, but I can't. I can give you guys the tools. I can, you know, give you the words and give you my love and all of that. But at the end of the day, you have to do the work. So figure out what it is and get yourself unstuck. Okay. And then I wanted to go ahead and tell you guys on this call too, because I'm excited about it. I'm going to do a post in the team page, but I reached out to Katie Green, I think is her last name, the one who lost 115 pounds. And she was one of the winners of $100,000 from Beachbody. I posted about her in the team page, I think. I reached out to her and I asked her to do a team call for us. And she said she would, which I'm super excited about because I think it's going to be awesome to hear from somebody who actually like went through the process herself. So I told her that I kind of just want her to share her stories and then I want to ask her questions and have her answer some questions from us, but I want to give them to her ahead of time. So if you guys want to start thinking about some things like, what would you want to ask somebody that lost 115 pounds? You know what I mean? That went through that journey. What are some things that maybe you want to know for yourself or some tools that you could take to help your challengers in the future. I'll be doing a post in the next couple days, and we can kind of just list some different questions and get some questions together for her. And I'm hoping that she's going to be able to do that in the next couple weeks. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. I think right now she's like on a family vacation, but I'll let you know. And I'm excited about that. So hopefully maybe that will be our next team call. I don't know for sure yet. We'll kind of play around and see. And then the last thing is, I know I talked to a lot of you who are really like pushing for that next goal in your business. Maybe you're pushing for Diamond, which I feel like when we say pushing for Diamond, I don't ever want you guys to get so caught up on like a rank. I think it's more so like something to aim for, where we have like a solid plan and you guys can say, okay, this is what I'm aiming for in my business to take it to the next step. So I wanted to have something put together by Monday for that group, but I don't know if it's going to happen because I've got like 3 other groups I'm trying to get organized right now. And I want to make sure I can be consistent and stay with you guys through that. But I want to put something together for that. But I want it to be like a serious group. And I want it to be something where we really are showing up and pushing together and checking in regularly and really kind of aiming for that next goal. So if that's something that you guys are interested in, let me know and I'll talk more about that. I know there's a few people who aren't on the call that wanted to be a part of it. And I think that would be awesome to really kind of put something like that together. Not necessarily a Diamond push group per se. I'm thinking more of like an intimate thing where it's not like a scripted thing where I post scripts for you guys. Like, I hate that crap. I'll just be honest with you guys. Like, I don't like that. That's not my style. But something where we can really kind of check in together and maybe follow a weekly checklist and, you know, pump up each other and get different ideas and stuff going. So keep that in mind if that's something you want to do. I'm going to be starting that within like the next 2 weeks. And we can talk more about that. So thanks for getting on the call, ladies. Have an awesome night. And I will be talking to you guys in the team page and then on next week's call. Have a good night. Welcome home, Victoria. Thank you for your service. Guys, she just got back from Afghanistan. I know, freaking, I'm like, man, I could never do, like, I'm so inspired by you, Victoria. Like, I could never do what you did. Like, seriously. When your husband posted the picture of you coming home, oh my God, I almost messaged you. I was like sobbing. Sadie's like, Mommy, what are you looking at? What's wrong with you? I'm like, nothing, it's fine. And your daughter looked like she was like crying. So I'm like, oh my God, I was seriously like hysterical. But anyways, oh, hold on, you're muted. Let me unmute you.
Hi. Oh.
I am.
No, every time they got the crowd screaming, I would cry. I was like, oh my God, we were marching out. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm like, try to focus here. So they keep it together.
I know. Oh, I'm so happy you're home though.
It's crazy.
I'm so happy you're home.
Me too. It's good to be here. Thank you.
All right, ladies. Well, have an awesome night. I'll talk to you soon.
Good night.